NTE has now been out for just over a month, and after a launch that was met with mostly glowing reviews, the game has also picked up its fair share of critics over the past few weeks. So, which camp do I fall into? Right in the middle. Nah, that's what everyone says, right? No, I'm actually firmly in the camp of people who enjoys the game a whole lot, while still recognizing that it isn't perfect and absolutely has its flaws. In fact, I would go as far as to say that this has been the best 1.0 launch experience I've had with a gacha game. So now that the 1.1 version of the game is officially out, I think it's a good time for me to talk about the opinion people have about the game and see where I agree, where I disagree, and whether I think those criticisms are actually fair. Before we get too much into the spicy ones, which trust me we will, first let's get to one thing that almost everyone can agree on out of the way. The gacha system is fantastic, and easily one of the most player-friendly systems out there. From a visual standpoint alone, with its Mario Party-inspired board game presentation, it has a ton of personality. The act of pulling for a character never been this fun before in any of the other gacha games. But not only that, the game also has no 50-50 system, which is amazing for someone like me with absolutely horrendous luck in these games. I've been losing so much, man. Instead, NTE seems to be leaning more heavily into cosmetics, things like skins, and the Porsche collab, which honestly is kind of a wheel trap. But I would happily take that over the usual FOMO-driven character banner most gacha games have, but it is definitely a much healthier way of doing a gacha system in a game, and definitely one of the best in the genre. Overall, I think NTE is one of the most player-friendly gacha games out there, and the devs has shown that they are actively listening to community feedback. Those are two major factors that help keep a gacha games community happy and give the game a strong foundation to thrive in the long run. Alright, now let me address one of the biggest criticism I've seen towards the game. That NTE is supposedly a mix of too many different things and it's quote-unquote soulless. Honestly, soulless has become one of those catch-all words people throw at any games they don't like. It's a term I've seen used so often that it's kind of lose its meaning. Is NTE perfect? No. Is it unpolished in a lot of areas? Absolutely. There are definitely a lot of mechanics in the game that needs ironing out. Some of the activities, for example, can be kinda rough. But describing the game as soulless just doesn't feel accurate at all. If anything, there are a lot of aspects of NTE. The developer put genuine care and passion into it. To me, a soulless game is one that plays everything as safely as possible. You know, a pure cash grab like your usual Madden and FIFA that follows established formula without taking any risk at all. NTE has the opposite problem, that's why I don't understand why they call it soulless. Sure, some of the systems are still a bit unpolished, but that's largely because the devs are trying to pack a lot of ideas into the game and give us players more options. In the process though, people often overlook the parts of the game where it's clear the team has poured a lot of love, passion, and effort into the experience. And while some of the activities can be hit or miss, the gameplay loop built around the City Tycoon system is actually one of the main reasons I enjoy the game so much. And there is no system like this in any other gacha game. They are taking a big risk, and I think it pays off. In most gacha games, once you're done with the main content, the endgame usually boils down to you grinding for gears and premium currency to pull for characters. NTE has that too, but on top of it, there is the Fon-based Tycoon system. Grinding Fons through weeklies has become one of the biggest reasons I keep coming back to the game. With Fons, you are not just working towards stronger gear or new characters, you can buy new cars and modifications, properties, furniture, music, character skins, even if some of them are ridiculously expensive, and much more things to buy. It creates a progression loop where you are constantly working towards multiple goals at the same time. Again, some of the side activities like the drumming minigame aren't exactly great, but as a whole, the Fons and Tycoon system gives player more things to work for and is such a good gameplay loop. Be it you're a housing player, a car enjoyer, or you just want to top the best list. Good luck on that, by the way. The game does give you multiple reasons to log in and play every single day. And that is exactly why I struggle to call it soulless. This isn't a system that's been copied from every other gacha games on the market, it's a risk. Whether it fully succeeds or not is another discussion, but it's actively trying something new instead of playing it safe. Even outside of the Tycoon system, just looking at the city itself completely undermines the soulless argument. NTE was known as the anime GTA, which to be honest I don't fully agree with. If I were to make a comparison to other games, I think I would describe it as a Persona ZZZ and Yakuza combined into one. But even that's not that accurate. The game is just NTE, it's its own thing, and I think it has enough personality and its own identity. But I can kinda see why people say it's anime GTA, because like GTA, the main character of the game is not Zero, it's not Iban, it is the world of Hethereau, which honestly is very fun to explore. Beyond the usual collectibles you expect from any open world gacha game, you can randomly find anomalies around town, which are these supernatural beings, and given the supernatural theming, they can go absolutely insane and creative with every single one of them, and they are always so fun to find. There is so much creativity behind them. You have things like the whale anomaly hidden inside a random tunnel, which was honestly beautiful. There's the Ghost Rider style anomaly that you have to chase across the city. And then there is an entire rhythm game boss fight, where you battle on beat, timing your dodges, attacks, and jumps to the music. That was absolutely crazy, man. These moments are incredibly creative and full of personality. They are easily some of my favorite parts of the game. Even the bosses themselves has surprises. Sometimes playable characters can randomly appear to help during world boss encounters, which is such a cool touch. Some even have unique scripted cutscenes. I remember in one fight, a Tori just suddenly showed up and froze the boss, aura farming out of nowhere. And these aren't even major story moments, they are just random side bosses you can find in the world. Outside of the bosses, you'll also find a lot of the characters just hanging out around the city doing their own thing. Quest NPCs can also be seen walking around town, going about their lives. Plenty of small details like these are in the game, and they add so much personality to Hethereau. Makes it feel far more alive than most other gacha game maps, even though they are technically smaller than most of them. The city is incredibly dense, and there is always something new to find. And that's not even mentioning the countless pop culture references scattered throughout the world. And there are so many. I can already hear some people dismissing them as meaningless fan service, but honestly, finding them is always so fun. They feel like little Easter eggs for the game's target audience, which is weeps like me. Rather than seeing them as cheap references, I see them as a developer sharing their media and influences they're passionate about. All of these and the details they put into the world is crazy. The source you can go into, the random oddities and anomalies just walking around, the absolutely beautiful scenery you can find all over the world is just so damn fun. And genuinely makes for probably the best exploration experience in any gacha games I played. And definitely contributes to making the game just very fun. The world and also the gameplay loop you have with the City Tycoon is legit the main reason why I think this is the best 1.0 experience I've ever had. But of course, I'm not blindly positive to the game. There are criticisms that I do agree with for the most part. A lot of criticism are valid, and one I agree with is the story. The weakest parts of the game right now, in my opinion, is definitely the main story and the scene direction. Let's start with the story. The main story actually started off very well. The whole Hypervortex incident was dark, creates immediate intrigue, and is generally very well paced and interesting. It legit hooked me and sold me in the world's lore. However, once you get into Iban, the pacing kind of slowed down a lot. Which at first, I understand, since it's basically the introductory scene where you get to meet the main cast of the story. Even then though, I think it dragged on for a bit too long. But then, the biggest culprit of what ruined the story of NTE is none other than Taigero. The Taigero quest happened. Taigero is sort of like a mascot of Iban, but somehow, even among the annoying trope we have in most gacha games, the annoying mascot, Taigero managed to be the most annoying one by far. Just to put into context how annoying he is, people hate him so much that the dev actually put a dedicated mute button for him. On patch 1.1, people hate him that much. Well, the quest we have after the first chapter was actually a dating quest for Taikedo. Putting that dating quest, which feels like a filler, was certainly a choice, but it certainly cost me, and I'm betting many others, to lose interest in the story. Because not only was it annoying, boring, long, it also felt very unnecessary. Who knows, maybe Taco will be important in the story someday. Maybe that's why they put this quest as a main story. She was kinda sus, but that part of the story feels like it hurts the overall pacing by a lot. The story after that does pick up a bit. It certainly got better than the Taigero quest. The auction house was kinda interesting. The Renee story was pretty emotional, and we also had a good twist at the end of that one. And the latest quest we just had on 1.1 was mostly quite good, though they all still have a lot of pacing and presentation problem. Which leads me to the second criticism I agree with, which is presentation and scene direction. I don't know if it's a budget problem, but the scene animation can feel kinda cheap and kind of janky. But that is not the main issue. The main issue I have with the cutscenes are actually the direction. At times, the animations and the characters' acting go so hard to being comedic and overly expressive that it feels like the game is trying a little too hard to be funny or quirky. Sometimes it works and it gives the scene a lot of charm, but other times the humor just doesn't land for me and ends up making certain moments feel awkward or even a little bit cringy. There are scenes that feels way over animated than it really needs to be. This is actually one area where I think Sandless Zone Zero does a better job overall, since both games are going for a similar stylish and comedic vibe. In NTE, it's a bit more hit or miss by comparison, at least in my opinion. The rest of the complaints I see people have about the game are mostly genre specific, and it's basically sadly expected to the gacha game genre. Not to say it's wrong to call them out, but singling out NTE on this regard I think is not fair. Things like endgame content being a TPS check, the stamina-based gear grinding, the tedious dailies, boring events, and the classic, there is nothing to do after I cleared everything. They are all sadly basically industry standard at this point, even though I think NTE is one of the better ones in that regard, just because of the aforementioned tycoon system we have, and the whole gameplay loop that no other gacha games actually have. Overall, has the game lived up to its hype? Well, for some people it didn't. For me, it absolutely did. It aces the part where it matters the most to me, and again, it's the most fun I've had playing a 1.0 gacha game. And having fun is the main point of a game. NTE promised an open urban world with a lot to do, and it accomplished just that, and I'm excited to see how it will improve and expand upon the base of the game, which has an infinite amount of potential still untapped. If you reached the end of the video, thank you for watching all of it. I really do appreciate it. I'm a newer streamer / content creator, so if you like what you watch and either want more of these videos about NTE or any other games, do give the video a like, comment, and of course subscribe. It would help a ton. And if you want to catch me live, you can always find me live here on YouTube or even my Twitch, which I will also link in the description. But again, thank you so much guys. I'm Azu, and I'm signing off. See you next time.